Okay. 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 So Chief of Army Staff is Lieutenant General, then Chief of Defense Staff would be
full general.
Full general.
4 stars.
Okay.
No, so the generals are 2-star generals.
Okay, 2-star, 3-star, and 4-star.
That's how it is.
No field marshal.
Field marshals are normally appointed when you have a huge war going on, and there are many sectors with many generals. So one of them will be made a field marshal to control generals.
Oh, I see. All right. So, and it has to be in a war situation.
Normally a war situation where you have many, maybe a multinational force with many generals involved. Then one of them will be promoted to become a field marshal to control generals.
So in the history of the world, how many field marshals have we had?
Very few. People like Montgomery and MacArthur, very few. Very few. You can visually count them on your fingers.
Idi Amin was one of them, Sha.
The armed forces around the world do not consider him to be a general.
They don't even consider him to be a general. Not to talk of field marshal.
He was an NCO. He was a non-commissioned officer. Who promoted himself, like for a guy like for the Sanko, who was a corporal in Cameroon, in Sierra Leone, and decided that he was going to be the head of state, and then gathered a band of men with him, and then started a war. So just one of those things.
Okay. Okay. God bless you. God bless you, really. We're speaking today on strategic leadership and national development. Strategic leadership and national development. Maybe I should first of all start by asking you to please define for us what you mean or what we mean by strategic leadership.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to share my understanding of the dynamics of strategic leadership, the pressure and the impact that kind of leadership exerts on the nation and national development in particular. First, we'll start by looking at what is leadership itself. It's been many authors have tried to grapple with that concept because it is elusive in a way, very elusive. But like Benny said, when you see it, you know it's like beauty. But what John Maxwell says, it is influence, and I agree with him, except that I'll add, like I did in my book, that leadership is actually interactive influence. In other words, the leaders influence the followership influence the leadership. So it's interactive, it's not a one-sided thing. But when you come to the strategic level of leadership, you are talking with the men and women who perch at the highest rungs of the ladder pyramid, the leadership pyramid, and deal essentially with strategic thinking, crafting strategies and implementing them. So strategy itself comes from the word strategia, which is the art of generalship, because it was the military that conceptualized it. It means a general who is perhaps looking at the terrain, looking at the enemy, and looking at his own resources and trying to plan how he can tackle them. So strategic leadership essentially deals with crafting leadership, emplacing vision, aggregating resources, creating alignment, and generally taking the people or an organization to a desired destination far better than its present location. So when you're talking about strategic leadership, we are talking about leadership as at the highest pyramid. In the nation, it is from the presidency to all the key guys who underpin and support him. And then at the organizational level, you're talking about the CEO, and then the key lieutenants who also assist. So that is the strategic level of leadership.
Very good. If you look at leadership in Nigeria, at least now that you are no longer in the military, I'm sure that you can freely comment as you think in Nigeria. What do you think, what kind of leadership do you think we have at the moment? And what kind of leadership have we had in the past?
Let me start by saying that from what I know of leadership and strategic leadership, we have a couple of people who stumble into leadership, but do not really know what it entails and what it is all about. And I'm saying that with a lot of respect to them, because some of them may even mean well, but you cannot give what you do not have. First, leadership must be prepared before it emerges. Unfortunately, we do not prepare leaders. In Nigeria, anybody that goes to university, comes out, gets a couple of supporters and money, can become a governor without any preparation. They can become ministers without any preparation. So when you are talking about the kind of leadership that we should have, I would say that we have stumbled like a lottery once in a while on a leadership that looks as if it knew what it was doing. But by and large, it punched below, it was not able to punch up to the required level because it was hobbled and encumbered by a lot of factors. And perhaps when I finish telling you what strategic leaders do, then you will see whether we have had it or not. First and foremost, at the strategic level, leadership is about creating a compelling and ennobling vision. So at the strategic level, whether it is a company, whether it's an organization, whether it's an institution, whether it's a nation, the leadership must come with a vision. I would dare to say that our leaders do not understand what a vision for a nation will look like. Normally, the leadership will envision where Nigeria wants to be or they expect Nigeria to be. And then they will paint a compelling portrait of that destination in such a way that it will galvanize the citizens of Nigeria to begin to desire to reach that destination. They'll be willing to follow such a leader to that beautiful, ennobling destination that has been painted. Once you've been able to create that vision, then you must communicate the vision in such a way that it is understood. And if you are dealing with challenges like the ones we have, you must be persuasive in telling the people where you are and where you want to be, and then be authentic enough to tell them what the challenges are. Do not create the impression that you are some kind of superhuman being. So you must be authentic. Then when you've done that, you now create alignment. What is alignment? It's getting all the institutions and structures and organs of governance to begin to head towards the same direction so that you're not working across purposes. Then, of course, we've known that because we're in a VUCA world, in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, full of black swan events that can upend and overturn your plans and order, you must be adaptive, you must be innovative, you must be able to develop the required human capital to be able to follow you to that desired destination. You must build consensus. And if you are dealing with a multi-ethnic nation like Nigeria, you must be prepared or understand what I call cultural sensitivity or cultural intelligence, so that you are able to deal with all the segments of the segments of the ethnic segments that make up the nation called Nigeria, with all their nuances and contours. You must be able to understand that. So you must also craft a strategy to take us there. What is strategy? Means ways, ends. We want to go to the destination. What are the means that will take us there? What are the ways, the pathways through which we will go? And then where is the destination? You must be able to craft that very, very well. Then you, of course, you must be prepared to, because moving to a new destination entails crafting, entails change management, because there'll be disruption. People do not normally want to move to a place they do not know or are not too sure of. So you must be able to manage change. You must build consensus. So basically, that is what leaders are doing around the world. And in a VUCA world, they're even doing more than that. They are coming on board with courage. They are coming on board with empathy. They are coming on board as digital citizens. What is digital citizenship? You must be able to understand the digital world with all its contours. You must be able to know that when you visit websites, you leave digital footprints. You must be able to understand that there are laws governing it. You must be able to communicate effectively. So those are the things that strategic leaders are coming up with. And then strategic leaders of today are generally nimble, adaptive, and agile. They have mental agility and they have energy. They are not guys that sleep in meetings. They have mental ability. They are mentally sharp. They are comfortable with ambiguity. They are able to go through it, its nuances, its contours. They are able to navigate it. Not only that, they are able to react reflexively to situations. For instance, COVID-19 came down, we didn't understand it. We were locked down. Agile leaders knew that every problem it has embedded in it, things, opportunities that can be harvested. So they were harvesting opportunities. But leaders that were not nimble, not agile, were caught like deers under the floodlights of an approaching SUV and then became immobilized. They couldn't do much with it. So we need to have leaders that are able to perch high up there and with the bird's eye view, scan the domestic environment, scan the external environment with a view to spotlighting and highlighting challenges that are coming and then the opportunities that can be tapped from those challenges. So that is what we need to, that is what we're supposed to have. Now, when you take a rear view review of what we have had so far and the present, do we say that we have leadership that meets these parameters I have laid down? I would say no. Do we have the potentials? Yes. We need to get people well trained. Leadership does not emerge by accident. It is prepared. That is what they did to us when we went to Nigerian National Academy. They started training us as cadets to lead men, to manage resources, to lead at the tactical, operational, and strategic levels. So even when I became a Major General, they were still sending me on seminars. So leadership today must be knowledgeable. It must know how the world works. It must understand the center of gravities around the world, those people that cause things to happen. It must also know that it's dealing with non-state actors with a lot of influence. So that is the kind of leadership that I hope we will have going forward.
Well, you've spoken very well, you know, and excuse me if I get a bit dark, because I'm going into a small tunnel. We hear all that you have said. I have two questions for you. The first one that you said, people in Nigeria, you know, dealing with all their characteristics and things like that. Maybe you can expand a bit further on that. What are the characteristics? What are the nuances?
You know, I miss a part of what they build up. You were building. I miss a part of it because I think you passed where your internet was affected. So if you can just go back a little bit.
Okay.
I miss a part of the build up.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very friendly. If any other person is hearing you, they can amplify.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Now, you were saying that there are some peculiarities of the character of Nigerians, different kinds of Nigerians, different kinds of characteristics and behavior.
He's frozen. Does any of the co-anchors understand what he's saying so that they can amplify?
He is asking you, Pastor is asking you about the characteristics of Nigerian leaders.
Yeah.
That you should explain it further.
Okay. So basically, today's leadership must be knowledgeable. And it appears as if we have leaders who do not come prepared. And I talk to leaders. I talk to leaders. There are some governors that when you are talking to them, they listen to you. And you will think that they will implement the things that they are hearing. They don't, because something is missing. That thing that is missing, I call it subtle socialization. I call it subtle socialization. What do I call it subtle socialization? I'm not talking about socialism as a form of governance. I'm talking about that kind of preparation that prepares an individual to be comfortable with his culture, to love his nation, because see, this thing they call patriotism does not exist in a vacuum. It is created. The citizens must love the nation because the nation has done things for them. Why I'm surprised is because some of the guys we are talking about have benefited from some of the things some of us benefited from. Like I went to school virtually free. Nigeria paid for me throughout. So I exhibit that. I try to give back to Nigeria at every turn, at every opportunity. So subtle socialization that prepares people to love their nation. But you must be knowledgeable. You must envision something that is bigger than you occupying an office and a title. You must be prepared to create impact and change the dynamics on the ground. Our leaders, unfortunately, do not have that. Most of the guys trying to run, now, if you ask them to tell you what they intend to do, they will be lost. And some of them, even when they try to be smart and tell you that they will do things, they have no idea how to get there and what to do. So in the kind of leadership we envision today must know the world, understand how the present world works, understand that we're in a 21st century world, understand that Nigeria is a multi-ethnic nation, understand that we have a youth bulge, that the bulk of the population is youthful, and that these guys are led differently. You do not go giving them orders. In fact, the next trait will be the trait of individualism, where they will not even want to be governed at all. So to govern them, you will need to persuade them. And to be able to persuade them, you must understand them and understand what they want and how they view the world. Our leaders do not have that. They do not even respect the young people. That is why they do not even hire them. Other governments around the world are hiring young people who understand the world. Our present leadership is not doing that. And even when we venture by accident to get a youthful governor, they are totally lost because they were not prepared. As I speak now, if you go to Congress in the US, you will see young interns who are being prepared for leadership. We don't do that here. When we have them in the National Assembly to send them on errands, they do not know what governance is. And if our National Assembly, the way they debate is what they want them to learn, there's nothing much to learn from there. So we must sit back and identify that kind of leadership and then give it power to use the leverage and the potentials of a great nation to begin to move us to the desired destination. I was hasten to say that a huge population is a major advantage. It's an element of national power. But when it is not trained and equipped, it becomes a huge disadvantage. So the next government must be thinking of doing something about a youthful population with a lot of energies and passions that have not been unleashed, creativity that has not been unleashed because the platform and the environment is not conducive for them to do that. So I'm talking about a leadership that will be knowledgeable, must understand Nigeria, must understand its different contours, nuances, must understand the texture of the nation, must understand that there are religious and ethnic differences, but you must build enough consensus to bring everybody to the table, must be fair, people must see justice, people must be made to love this nation, Nigeria. Before I stop, let me say something. Every nation must identify what it is good at. You don't come telling us you will do everything. Nigeria must be able to locate its strengths beyond oil. For instance, since we love football so much, how come we have not created plenty of football academies all over Nigeria to gather you can pick these guys from bridges in Lagos, everywhere, in Abuja, everywhere, and train them, then begin to export them. Begin to export them to clubs where they'll be trained. So since that unifies the nation, you tap into it. If you discover that it's sports that unifies the nation, you tap into it. If you discover that it's tourism, you tap into it. But we are all over the place and heading nowhere, moving in cycles because we have not had that kind of leadership. I would say leadership must be trained, must be knowledgeable, it must envision something bigger than itself. When I get a chance, I tell leaders that when they die, we'll carry them to the grave, bury them, and everybody will turn back and head home. That their loved ones will turn back, their spouses will turn back, that everybody will turn and leave them in that graveyard, and that they will go with nothing. So until this sinks in, then the primitive acquisition will stop. If it sinks in, then the primitive acquisition will stop. I mean, you do not even have to invent the wheels. You go outside, you see things, copy them, and come and implement them here. You don't even have to reinvent the wheel. So we're having people who have not envisioned something greater than themselves. I am grateful to Nigeria. So when I get a chance, I made a difference because I love the nation. We must get people to love the nation.
How come we have been having series of leaders and different kinds of leaders all over the place who have not been able to really lead Nigeria well? What is the problem with our leadership selection process?
Oh, sir, the leadership selection process is very flawed. Terribly so. If you have money to contribute to somebody's campaign, you are likely to become a minister, irrespective of whether you can navigate your way out of a locked toilet or not. Because some of them are that door, that if you leave them in the toilet without help, they cannot come out. You know, when I talk about these things, I get furious. So that is why I'm using terminologies like that look like that. You see, we are not selecting people based on merit. Even when we come for ministers, we're not looking for the very best. It's whether they contribute, whether they belong to a party, and whether they contributed to the campaigns. So if you have that kind of process going on, then what you have is a lottery. It's a lottery because if you are fortunate to get a guy, you may get somebody like Fashola. I can say that because when I was commanding 9th Brigade, he was the governor and I was entering meetings with him. And he used to take notes when he was a governor. He used to take notes. He was good. He would take notes. I remember one event. We were going to have the Lagos countdown to enter the new year. And they said it was going to be there will be a procession that will end up at the Bar Beach. And I told him that as you are approaching Bar Beach, as you are heading towards that hotel, I think it's Sheraton, it's not is it Federal Palace?
Eco Hotel.
Yes, that old Hebrew hotel.
The Federal Palace, there's the Eco Hotel, yeah.
No, Federal Palace. I told him that there were potholes there because that time I used to drive there and I knew there were potholes. So I said, since you say CNN are going to cover it, there are potholes there and the procession will be in the night. So those potholes need to be covered. He took notes. I passed 3 days later and discovered the potholes had been totally covered. I was impressed. I was also impressed one day. We had a meeting. In fact, many instances. So until you get a guy like that, and then, of course, today, without being biased, at the risk of sounding biased, the vice president is like that. He takes notes. He remembers the things you discuss with him. He is sharp. In fact, he feeds the mold of the type I'm describing. But beyond that, there are other guys too that can emerge. You just need to identify them. They are sprinkled all over Nigeria, but they will never smell where power is unless you deliberately bypass the guy's campaigning, bypass the money bags, and say, you are giving me power, let me select my team. Then you will have them. They are all over. You can even import them from outside. Nigerians are doing wonderful things around the world. You can convince them and tell them, look, come and contribute to something greater than yourself. They will come. Are you there, sir?
I think Pastor just okay. He's trying to unmute himself.
Okay. Okay. One of the anchors can say something so that we can keep the discussion going.
AUX mode.
Pastor, are you there?
I think he was driving.
Yes, I think let's just give Pastor a couple of seconds. Coming into his physical location.
I'm trying to log into my laptop, but nonetheless, let's just continue. So you mentioned two great leaders, two people you think are quite competent leaders in Nigeria, and so on and so forth. But my question really is, why is our leadership process not throwing up more such leaders? And what do we need to do about it?
So first, there must be a reorientation. For now, people do not know why they are practicing politics. They think that it is to occupy a position, make some money, be comfortable, buy houses outside the country, send their children to school abroad, perhaps do a couple of girlfriends, and just live the comfortable life. Our orientation is not geared towards service. You need a paradigm shift by way of a mind reset. We need to preach to people and convince them that Nigeria must be greater than their desires and their aims and their goals in life. We need to have a leader that bypasses them and picks up people that can serve. And then Nigerians will see that kind of leadership performing and will refuse to go back. So all you need is one person. Leadership is very important, sir. It's like oxygen to a family, it's like oxygen to a nation, and it's very influential. That is why you have a madman controlling traffic in Lagos and people obey. Leadership is important. People are just waiting for one such leader to emerge. So right now, the way the polity is structured, it is very difficult for that kind of leadership to emerge, sir. We'll be moving in cycles and may not be able to arrive at the desired destination if the way of selection of leadership is what it is now, going through the party structures and then using a lot of money to get into office. The people who are very capable do not have those kind of resources. The people who have Nigeria at heart do not have those kind of resources. So if we keep on going on this trajectory, sir, I can't see anything changing. But we all need to have a breakthrough, just one individual who knows what it is about. So for now, sir, the only thing we can do is what we are doing now, to talk and sensitize people to what kind of leadership is required, so that when they have a chance to influence it, they can. But for now, that is all we can do. As long as you and myself do not have the resources to be able to compete with these guys, the level they compete to gain the offices they gain, we can only be shouting on the sidelines.
This is very sad and a little bit disheartening, you know, because you are saying that unless we have the resources and the network or bandwidth, a lot of good people will be missing
on the sidelines
on this trajectory of leadership. Very, very painful to me. So how are we going to do it? What do you suggest? Who do we, how do we get ourselves together? 2023 is coming. Who
so,
do
you know, I just wish we were able, wish we were able to mobilize the youth and get them to see their future. Because right now they can be easily influenced by small change. I wish we could paint a picture for them to see, so that we can aggregate their force, their numbers, and say we vote only the people we want. But to be able to even get them to vote, you must be sitting at the table where they are selected. So first, get the youth to belong to parties, and then make them to understand that if they collect money, they are selling their future. And sensitize them in such a way that you preach to them until they will hear it in their dreams as they are sleeping, that the future belongs to them, that they should shape it. So let's mobilize them to belong to political parties. Let them register. And let them not run away from PDP and APC. Those are the ones who are structured. What you need is numbers. Once you have a huge pool of young people who can vote, they will influence selection at the ward level all the way to the presidential level. Otherwise, for now, we'll be sitting on the sidelines and watching. It's who they present that you vote. So you must be able to influence who they select to present. And to me, anybody who is not a digital citizen has no business standing for the presidency, and it's easy to tell. If you just ask them some few questions, they will stumble. They will tell you they have no idea how the world is working. And nobody should come and deceive us by holding an iPad again. Anybody can hold an iPad. Nobody should come and deceive us by holding an iPhone. That is not, it's way beyond that. If I'm the one, I'll ask them whether they even understand smart mob organizing, whether they know what smart mob organizing that is determined by hashtags that you can create, that the mobs of today are not carrying sticks, that they just start with a hashtag and it can go viral all over the world. Once they are not digital citizens, they are out. So basically, that's it.
So I don't know. It means that quite a lot of people might be out in this thing you're talking about now.
You must understand how the world works, otherwise you won't be able to implement. So look at it this way. NNPC sells crude. Elon Musk is coming out with Tesla, electronic cars. If I were heading NNPC by now, I'll be telling myself that a young group of Nigerians are going to start buying Tesla vehicles and bringing them to Nigeria. There'll be need for charging stations. And that this fuel we are selling may no longer be the in thing 20 years down the line. So I'll be saying, how do we come in straight away and begin to in place structures that will make us to be at the forefront of charging stations and maintaining electronic vehicles? That's what I'll be doing. So if you have guys who do not understand this and they are running for office, they do not know how the world works. They are not able to scan the horizon to spot potentials, to spot threats. They do not even understand the domestic environment. How will they be able to lead their way out of an environment they do not understand? So basically, we must begin to highlight this and say we need knowledgeable leadership. And nobody should be permitted to dodge debates. And nobody should have NTA asking questions that are soft, throwing soft gloves at people. They must tell us what they can do. And let it be open to Nigerians to see. And Nigerians will be permitted to ask questions. We can no longer be bamboozled. But to do that, you must sensitize the young people who have the energy to stand online, who have the energy to follow the votes, to make sure they are counted. They did it in Edo State and we saw the results. They must stand and insist that the election must count and that the proper people must be selected. But to do that, you must be sitting at the table where the decisions are taken to select candidates. So basically, if we do not select the right people, we'll be moving in cycles. Leadership today must be, I've said it before, must be agile, must be able to react to the unseen. Black swan events are the norm now. Why are they called black swan events? They are called black swan events because they are unusual. A black swan does not exist. There are not many. If once in a while, two swans that are white will give birth to a black swan. It's a random event. It doesn't happen all the time. And when it happens, it is ambiguous. It is complex. You can't understand it. You must be nimble enough to study it and understand it. You must be one who is prepared to build teams to study and understand it. You must be comfortable with data. Today, data is king. You don't take decisions without data. I'll give you an example. When I did PhD, I was trying to study why armed robbers are operating, even though they know that the penalty is the death penalty. And I interviewed them, I spoke to them. When I came and presented the data to one big man, he was arguing with the data. He said unemployment is not as high as that. As long as you have people who argue with data, you can't make much sense of what you are seeing. People work with data. The leader of tomorrow, the next election, the leaders that emerge must be comfortable with data. They must embrace data. They must have a certain level of empathy. When citizens are going through challenges, they want empathetic leaders who will speak to them, who will put their shoes in their shoes and understand them. But today we're not having that. So it takes deliberate planning for those kind of leaders to emerge. And if we are prepared to do it, we must disrupt the system. How do you disrupt the system? Disrupt the way their leaders, their candidates are emerging. How do you do that? Enter into it in large numbers. They present the candidates, you vote the one you want. They can't manipulate that if you are on the table sitting there with them.
So how do we get our youth involved? What kind of, how do we engage them? How do we encourage them? How do we get them into the two leading parties, as it were, that you've recommended? And is there the possibility of a third force? Is that doable?
Let me start with the last one. A third force will be difficult because you do not have structures. See, today's party politics is based on structures on the ground, from the ward level up. you need to blow them from inside. You must embed yourself inside and disrupt them from within. In other words, start by mobilizing the youth, not to riot, not to do any nefarious activity, is to educate them. I intend to hold something with the young people to teach them how today's world operates and the opportunities available. You can use occasions like that to register them in large numbers, begin to interact with them. It can be on WhatsApp group, it can be on social media platforms, but you must begin to educate them. See, information is power, knowledge is powerful. We must make them understand that it's their future that is being tinkered with. There is their future that is being manipulated. Some of these guys are old enough to marry. They have no idea when they are going to marry because they have no power. They are still depending on their parents. Some of them, their parents are naughty. Guys graduate, they stay until they are 40. They've never had their first job. So you must spend, you see, people have become used to it. You must tell them not to be comfortable with it. But it's education. We must organize. We must tell them. We must make them realize that they are losing their purpose for existence as a result of the existing paradigm. So you must disrupt it. It's knowledge, it's information, it's organization. That's what we need to do.
So how do we get people to disrupt this now? So for instance, someone like yourself, what do you think? Well, you said one or two things you can do. How do we get people, the majority, to disrupt it? That's question number one. Question number two, the NSAS movement. These young people, they gathered themselves together, they ran this, they did that. At the end of it all, we are told that they were shot and some of them were killed and this and that. I'd like to have your opinion on that and what you think. And since then, the young people seem to have gone back to their shells and they don't seem to want to come out anymore. And then looking at the issue of national development, 2023 is coming. How do we, or what work do we do towards developing our nation? If you are, what role can you, someone like you, play towards this national development, and what sort of thoughts should Nigeria or our next set of leaders be having towards national development? I'm going to ask you that question, then I'm going to start asking people who want to ask a few questions to begin to indicate so that we can have an interactive session. Go ahead, my dear.
Okay, sir. So let's start with the NSAS. Its objective was to stop something bad that was going on. They organized and then they were infiltrated and it went the way it did. But this thing you are talking about now is a different kind of movement. It's a socio-political movement. It has nothing that will threaten the government. You would tell them, we are going to join PDP, we are going to join APC. But we're the youth wings of these groups we are talking about. We want to do something differently. So you galvanize them. All you are thinking about, all you are telling them is that they must be involved in selecting leaders. So they are not against the government. They are not criticizing government. They are not fighting government. They are not throwing stones at security forces. All they are doing is to be part of the political movement. So once that becomes very clear that it's political movement, it has nothing to do with disrupting governance. It has nothing to do with creating discomfort, looting, or doing anything bad. So that is how you organize them. And it can be, like I said, start with a hashtag. You just need to register them and tell them what the thing is about. Now, national development. Of course, if you do not have the kind of leadership that you want, that knows what national development is, then of course you will not have national development. So it starts with the leadership. Now, what is national development? When you're talking about national development, you're talking about the socio-economic and perhaps technological transformation of a nation, employing strategies at the strategic level. So if they do not know, the leaders we have today do not know that it's socio-economic transformation and perhaps technological development of a nation, then they do not know where they are going, so they will be walking around in cycles. So that's the kind of leadership we need. The next set of leaders must be able to tell us that these are the strategies we are going to adapt to carry you to this destination that we are painting. Until we do that, until we have a leadership that knows how to carry us to that destination, development will be stalled, it will be hobbled. What you're having today is not development. They build a building, then they commission it with a lot of fanfare. They drop a flyover here and commission it with a lot of fanfare. They renovate a school and commission it with a lot. That is not development. Development must be holistic. It must touch your economy. It must touch the foundation of the economy. It must be in such a way that that economy can sustain it. It must have a master plan, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It must be framed within time frames, that within this period, this is where we want to be. It must be holistic. It must tackle security, because you cannot develop without security. And to do that is very easy. You create a problem tree. When you want to solve a problem, you create a tree. Then you kind of fill it up with the things, the problems. But there is always a root. Once you tackle the roots, the branches and the fruits, they collapse. So you must create a problem tree. And we have done that. I was a member of the National Security Policy Review Committee that we reviewed in 2018. We identified all the problems of Nigeria and crafted what we thought was the solution. It has not been implemented. So that's what you need to do.
Right. So if you are president of Nigeria, what are the things that you would tackle, and how would you tackle them? And what sort of vision or view do you have of Nigeria?
If I were the president of Nigeria, the first thing I would do is to make Nigerians take ownership of Nigeria. In other words, every Nigerian will feel he's a Nigerian. If you do not implement social justice and equity, you can't do much. If the disparate parts of Nigeria are thinking they are being shortchanged, you can't do much. So, I served in the army for 33 years. I commanded troops. And I was able to see that the brilliant guys come from everywhere around Nigeria. We had guys from Kano, from Sokoto, from Port Harcourt, from all over Nigeria that were brilliant minds. So, in other words, you can get them from everywhere. Make sure all the constituent parts of Nigeria are represented on the table without compromising merit and standards. So there must be social equity. Somebody must know that if they are brilliant, no matter where they come from, they have a stake and they can be recognized. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is to build a team, having crafted a vision, to build a team that can help me drive the vision. And like I said, the Nigerians are everywhere. They are even outside. They can be enticed to come back. That's the next thing I will do. I will tackle security. If we do not have security, you have nothing. Now, why is our security so challenging? First, the unemployment is too high. Second, there are elements within our society that we do not even know where they come from. And we're allowing them too much elbow room to operate. So I will issue instructions, and they will be on national TV to the security forces. I'll issue the instructions in such a way that everybody will hear. The security forces will know that I mean business. That if anyone, for instance, is seen with a gun, they are contesting power, they are contesting sovereignty with Nigeria, and that they must be dealt with. See, drastic problems require drastic solutions. So you must detach yourself from your ethnic group and be prepared to show that you are a Nigerian. Then I will begin to use resources in a manner that they can see and know that we're using resources. Let me give you an example. when I took over command of 4th Brigade in Benin, these buildings were made in 1969 and they were wooden structures. It was this kind of wood that lasts forever. If you permit it, we just keep on lasting forever. And I took over afraid that in the 21st century world, a building like that, a headquarters should not be under wooden structures. And I was having money coming in for security issues from state governors, from oil companies, and I was doing what they asked me to do: give security, take care of the troops, take care of logistics. Every time I did, I had money left. So I started accumulating that money to break down those structures and rebuild. So if you go to 4th Brigade Benin today, you will see that there are no wooden structures again. It takes a Nigeria that is looking at Nigeria beyond himself. How was I able to move the military police from Lagos to Abuja? I mean, to move them from a rented building to a permanent site. I saw that they needed to move from hiring a house, a building inside town, to a location that was desirable. So I did. I wish I could show you pictures. So it starts with a vision and it starts with leadership. You must see a leadership that is selfless, that is thinking Nigeria, sleeping Nigeria, waking Nigeria. Once they see that, they will follow. They can come from any part of the nation. All they're looking for is leadership. Once we give it to them, they follow. Nigerians are hungry for leadership. They're not even asking for exceptional leadership. They're asking for somebody that will make them feel like they're Nigerians, that they can feel a touch of government. That is all they're asking for. But you can give them way beyond that, and it is easy to do.
Okay, so do you think with the present two-party structure that we have, between now and 2023, we can force something to get the kind of leadership that Nigerians are hungry for within this two-party structure as we are now?
Yes, sir, because we must infiltrate them. We must infiltrate them. And like a level, begin to affect them. We must infiltrate them in large numbers. Even if you are not engaged in party politics like I won't be, but you must be influencing things. And I know how I influence that. You must be engaged. Nobody should stand hands akimbo watching again. Nobody should do that. Nobody should stand aside watching. We must enter in. For instance, if young people are entering into it, I'll be advising them on what to do while they are in there, because I interface with them. I love the young people. I understand their language. I mix with them. I talk to them. So I understand them. I'm with them. I'm with them on social media platforms. I engage them. I mentor some of them from afar. So that is what we will do. The structures are too deep for you to take them over. Standing outside, you must enter inside. PDP and APC are too strong for you to create another party that can usurp power from them. You need to be deep inside. You must enter inside them.
Well, somebody on the platform, Pastor Sonny, my co-presenter, is saying he thinks it's a bit too late now to infiltrate either of those two parties, and so on and so forth. So what do you think about that? This is, what are we in? We're in April now. April starts tomorrow.
You know, sir, when I was in the army, there was no job they gave us that we said was impossible. The jobs looked impossible from a human perspective, but the military mantra was that nothing was impossible. In fact, the Nigerian army engineers came up with a slogan. They said the difficult we do immediately. The impossible takes us a little longer. Miracles give us a week's notice. So you must get to the point where if you sit back and say it is too late, then you are already defeated. We have conceded territory to them to do anything they want. No, it is not too late. We may not be card, we will not be holding appointments, but they must know we're there and that our voices and that we're going to mobilize against them if they do not do what we want. So to say it is too late is to throw our hands in the air and fold up. And I do not subscribe to that.
Okay, let me take a question from Ibrahim Palm or a comment very quickly. Ibrahim, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Pastor Itwa. And General Akem, it's a real pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
I used your work on command responsibility, the article you produced, which was brilliant. And I think from listening to you today, your brilliance obviously shines through very strongly. As you talk about leadership, I would like to ask you A few questions. I mean, first of all, you talked about leadership being interactive influence. And I think that's a very graphic and that's a very clever way of describing it. And I reflect on what General McChrystal describes in his team of teams, and how you create decentralized leadership, delegated leadership. Now, all of these concepts and the concepts of responsibility and accountability, how they interact with leadership and so on. My question for you, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I will listen to the video again because I think you have spoken very richly today. But my question for you is, as we look for this kind of leadership, and you have identified two individuals as you spoke, my problem is that we are looking for individuals. Do you not think that we should instead be looking for institutions that create or build leadership? You know, in the US, since the end of the Second World War, since General Eisenhower in 1953, all of the presidents until Bill Clinton in 1992 had served in the military. Because the military is a training ground for leadership. That's what officers are trained to do. We need institutions that breed or train leadership. So for example, in Nigeria, we have the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. And the whole point about NIPS was to create this core of leaders for Nigeria, to take people who are in certain positions and impart leadership and strategy teaching and values to them. I don't know where NIPS is now. I don't know how productive it is. The civil service was a breeding ground for training leaders. Unfortunately, the civil service in Nigeria has suffered a lot of harm and battery. So what I'm asking you is, what kind of institutions, and by the way, reflecting even back to our academic institutions, they used to be training grounds for building student leaders. But now some institutions even ask students at university level to wear uniforms. And in fact, they punish them by asking them to kneel down in a corner. You know, we have distorted our entire worldview. So now we're faced with a problem where we are looking for individuals and we get caught up with what you talked about, people who have never done an honest day's job in their life, becoming governors because they have money. So that's what I would like to know from you. And I really value a lot of your intellect and your academic rigor. What do you think we need to do to create those institutions that can build leaders? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So actually, I touched on it. And I gave an example that as I was speaking, there were interns in US Congress who were being prepared for leadership. So why we are looking at individuals now is first because leadership creates institutions. We have not been able to create those enduring institutions that can begin to churn out continually leadership at the levels that we want. Then the second point really why you will need to identify with those who are already in and pick them up and use them is because right now we are a house on fire. So you may even use a fire brigade approach to put out the fire and then begin to build. When you have the kind of leaders, some of whom I've interacted with at the leadership level where they can begin to create these institutions and permit the young leadership that we're looking for to emerge, then you can do that, what you have in mind. Now, I agree with you that the armed forces basically produces leadership. Perhaps in the past, far better than what we're having today. NIFS, as good as it may be, I believe that the vigor, the kind of academic vigor that I expected is slightly missing. Why? Because at a certain point, the armed forces started selecting those that they felt were not people that could come to National Defense College or go outside the country to go there. When you start doing people who were looking for less work, so we even started finding our very brilliant guys lobbying to go there so that they can take it easy. So when you create an atmosphere that is not that vigorous in terms of academic pursuit, then its quality begins to diminish. So you need a leadership that can emplace institutions, build them to such a way that they cannot be tinkered or tampered with or broken down. To do that, you need leadership. And since we do not have too much time to go back building leadership, we need to use what we have to get them to build the kind of institutions that we need so that there can be a kind of factory, leadership factory, where they are churned out continually on a running basis. They just continue to emerge. But you must start with the young people, somebody that understands young people, somebody who is prepared to use them, to train them to get there. We need to deliberately do that. And until we do that, that is why I say you need, I was calling names of people I work with that I know. There are more people than that. But for now, you need people who can come in to build those institutions because time is of the essence. There is no time to go building institutions. Somebody has to come in and build it. And leadership is about to emerge by 29th of next year. Leadership will be sworn in. So we need now to pick the ones that are available and use them. And then when they get in there, we are sitting at the table, we'll be telling them the kind of leadership we wish to create to take over from them. Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much. So what do you think 2023 is going to pan out? Who do you think is going to emerge as the next president of Nigeria in 2023, the way you are looking at it?
So it's looking very hazy.
Okay.
It looks very hazy. The guys I have in mind, when they throw their hearts in the ring, then I'll be able to talk. Well, for now, I'm just praying that an accident should not happen so that we end up with somebody that is clueless, somebody who thinks that power is occupying an office, somebody who thinks that the title is bigger than the job they were coming in to do, somebody with a long convoy, somebody that thinks a long convoy is a thing of the 21st century that can be done in this century, somebody who thinks that you create too many protocols that leadership cannot interact with people again, that it is too high up there to relate with people. No, those are not the kind of people we're looking for. But if we're not careful, those are the kind of guys that we emerge. We want a leadership that does not eat corn only when elections are coming. We want a leadership that can leave us so rock and enter into the market impromptu to find out the prices of things. We need a leadership that knows how much a bag of rice costs. We need a leadership that can talk to a market woman and say, and ask the woman, how can I make life a little bit better than you? Some of those women have knowledge, they are intelligent, they will tell you. We need leadership that is not insulated and kept very far away from the government, such that we need leadership that gets information. We not need leadership that is sitting and hiding. We need leadership that has energy to stand up and walk around. We need leadership that does not sleep in meetings. We need a leadership that takes notes. We need leadership that takes correction. We need leadership that is not adversarial, that welcomes criticism, even if it comes by way of feedback. We need leadership that is comfortable with criticism. We need leadership that knows that is servant, that minister means servant, that a leader is not bigger than Nigerians, that he's a Nigerian given a position to serve, and that Nigerians can remove it. We need a leadership that is comfortable with conducting fair elections. Even if they are going to lose, they lose. That is the kind of leadership we want. That is the kind of thing I have in mind, sir.
Well, I don't know if any of the people who you are thinking of has all these qualities and they have not emerged. And part of our problem now is not even now waiting for people to emerge. How do we get them to emerge? Because like you said, a lot of the people who you've described, they won't have the money to come out. And if you don't have the money, it's unlikely that you will chest out. You know, the people came together and they made David king. One of the challenges we have here is that we, the people or the elites, don't go out to look for people we can make king. We talk, we grumble, we complain, we have seminars, we have colloquia, we have colloquium, we do this, we do that. Very few people bear the cat. Very few people say, okay, you know what? I'm going to look for Major General Patakem. I think he has this leadership, this thing. He's from Benue State, he's from Taraba, he's from Edo State. Let him come and run for governor. And I will do all I can to support him. I'm going to look for Kunle Mohammed Emeka. He's right now a professor in somewhere in Minnesota. I've read his work, I've seen what he's done, his work for Tesla, his work for this, his work for that. Let him come and run for office or be part of the team. You know, we don't do that. And I think some of us even know some of these people who can lead. And when we see them, we sort of laugh at them. The person will say that you have the money, you have the money. So we ourselves have inadvertently reduced our leadership process to money. And it doesn't necessarily have to be so. There are organizations, there are groups, there are religious bodies, there are associations that can come together and support somebody if they believe in that person, and the person doesn't need to spend money. And crowdfunding, this and that. Why don't we have that collection of people, group of people, who can come together and say, you know what, we're going to fight this system, and we're going to look for somebody we think can do this work and make him king. In fact, to be honest, to a small extent, that's how Obasanjo emerged in 1999, because he had no money. He had nothing. He had just come out of prison. He was, we're together earlier on today at my colloquium. And even when they asked him, he said he had to go to two people, Nelson Mandela and Bishop Tutu, to seek for advice. So those people who came, I don't know why we're not doing a bit more of that. And those same people who came together to seek out an Obasanjo, why can't they all come together again and seek out an Olu Victor or Shade Fasidemi or Bamba Akindaunsi and say, you know what, these are the people that we want. Why all of a sudden everybody's afraid? Everybody's afraid, even of politicians. You're afraid. People say to you, don't go there, they will kill you, they will do this, they will do that. You can't speak against that person, it will threaten your business. I've even personally suffered, all these things I'm doing. Even today, I heard some news that wasn't very pleasant because of my comments, So what do we do? How do we get this country right? I don't know if you have any thoughts on my long thesis. I'm speaking from my heart.
Yes, sir. If Pastor Itua can start it by creating a GoFundMe platform, and because of his reputation, and because he's trusted, and because young people know he's honest, they will start putting in ₦1, 500, until we get a huge sum of money and say we are sponsoring our own candidates. And because the youth will be behind it, the money will keep coming in, the post will never end until the elections are done. But I just hope that the president meant it when he went to the APC convention last week and said that they should not give power to the money bags, to the money policies must end. Well, will he be able to prepare to put his foot down and go on with it continually? I don't know. But we must have money, and something like that can be done. If I need to, Pastor Itua, that everybody knows, that is honorable, that has integrity, starts something like that, I dare say it will catch fire. It will be on fire. And then we can sponsor our own candidates.
Thank you for your very kind words. And I want to take you up on that. And I'm going to say, I'm going to be tapping into you and leaning on you.
Yes,
and
sir.
Seeing how we can work on this together and see how we can get something to catch fire. I'm actually trying to look for leadership. I'm actually doing a thought-like search for people who are capable of leading this country. So if you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions, if you have any names you can put forward. And also if you have an idea, we can start this movement, this GoFundMe, and gather money for these people. Because part of what African leadership is supposed to do, and I've told the people on the platform, please let's contribute some monies together. Let's put monies together. You all have the bank account and things. And let's even begin to find one or two people that you can encourage to go into leadership at any level. could be local government, it could be councillorship, it could be governor, it could be even president. Let's look for people and look for the right kind of people and invest in them to really take up this challenge. Let me see what Edward Agbai wants to say, and also Tunde Akwelogun. We'll take those 2 questions, no, 3 questions. There's a KTL. So I'm going to ask them to ask all their questions one after the other. KTL, I don't know who that is. Tunde Akwelogun and Edward Agbai. Please go ahead. Edward?
Thanks, Pastor Itwan. Thanks, Doc. I saw your post on LinkedIn and I had to join. I want to agree with you that the Edo example can be replicated in Nigeria. So my take is when the person said that that it's too late, I don't think it's too late. I don't stay in Nigeria, but I'm participating in Nigeria and I am making things at my local level. So I think that on this call, what I want to add to your voice is that it's not too late to join. And there are people that are already competent in governance. All we need to do, those of us here, if these 77 persons on this call can join one of these political parties and add their voice, I think we can start that little stone that will turn to a molehill. That's my point. I want to thank you for this session. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Dr. Edward Abai.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll take that as a comment. Tunde Akwelogun, and then we'll just speak to everything at once. Tunde Akwelogun, please unmute yourself.
Mr. Pat.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you have said a lot of things that everybody here would like to comment on, but I am not going to open the chance because Pastor Itua is trying to close the meeting as soon as possible. Yeah, you appear to have grown your leadership knowledge through the army. So what we now have in Nigeria appears to be a democratized military government. That's, you know what that means now, eh? It's a military government that has been democratized. So we don't really have proper democracy. So I'm asking you, because you have said so many times that the leaders we have today don't know how to run the government. Now that you have claimed to have that knowledge, in the light of the occurrences in Nigeria today, can you advise those who are campaigning for Yoruba Nation what they need to see in Nigeria that they have not already seen? They are campaigning for Yoruba Nation. They don't want Fashola as their president. They don't want Numbu as their president. They don't want Obasanjo as their president. All they want is a Yoruba Nation. So how do you convince them to be part of Nigeria? Thank you.
Okay, see, I concede, and it has been confirmed on this platform that the military generally around the world produces leaders. That is all we do. In the armed forces, you are trained from day one to be a leader. You may not be the kind of leader that the political parties have, but again, you can be adaptive. And that is why sometimes they make very good leaders even in the political sphere. Why are people campaigning to break up into small nations? Because to a large extent, they have lost faith in what is called Nigeria. So you need a leadership that is able to place back, to rekindle that hope in a nation called Nigeria. What does that, why does it happen like that? Social inequalities, injustice, a sense that fairness is not being entrenched. This whole sense of insecurity makes people to say, maybe if we had a smaller nation of our own, we would be better off. The challenges is that you must tell them what that entails. First, let me tell you that if you want to break up, you may end up with multiple wars going on at the same time without defining front lines, everybody against everybody, and you wouldn't want that to happen. Why? Because I served in Somalia, I served in Liberia. I served in Sierra Leone. Second, you need the huge population to serve as a big market for you to produce things and sell them. You can easily make money in this Nigeria. You must make the young people know that Nigeria, the way it is structured now, only needs a leadership that rethinkers with it in such a way that everybody has a fair share. Everybody has hope that they are not being cheated. It's because of their sense that somebody is cheated. That's why people are trying to see whether they can go away. It wasn't like that before. So you need somebody that can build Nigeria into a whole, build Nigeria in such a way that everybody has a sense of oneness. Everybody begins to become proud of Nigeria again. When the Americans do their baseball, they call it World Series. They are not looking at other, they are proud of what they have. You need to create a Nigeria that people can be proud of, that will make sure that will temper all these agitations to go away. They must know that to break Nigeria now, it cannot be done peacefully. I'm a military guy and I can tell you that for free. That it's difficult for you to have it done the way they think. They will just go, everybody will just go. You will have so much chaos that it will defeat the purpose of trying to go. And that is the truth. So the young people have an idealized notion that they can break up. You must tell them that there are some guys who saw war and they are telling you don't try it because you will not be able to realize your dreams. Let's build the Nigeria that we have. And I'm not claiming that I have all knowledge about leadership. I'm only talking about the one I can talk about because see, I have a little bit of it. Because even my PhD was my specialization was global leadership. I've done leadership since I was a cadet. I have led managed resources since I was a cadet. So to some extent, I do a little bit of leadership. And if you're talking about strategic leadership, I started being a strategic leader as a brigadier. I've taught strategy in the National Defense College. I have taught strategic leadership at the National Defense College. So I know a little bit about it. I'm not talking about things I do not know. And I think that these things are workable. With the right leadership, Nigeria is a workable and enticing, exciting project that we can work on. This country is too rich. Everywhere you turn, it's riches all over the place. The nation is rich enough. If you want to carve out the cake, everybody will eat until they get tired of eating. Nigeria is rich. The resources are so much, the Chinese are cutting them away. We do not even know what they are taking away. You must stop the Chinese from cutting them away. Nigeria is too rich. It's enough for everybody. It's a nation that can create things that the world will be coming here to look at. I'm praying that I'll be sitting where I can advise in the next dispensation. I'm just praying that God will have mercy on me and place me where I can influence things. We cannot continue like this. With the aggregate of the resources, human and material, we're sitting on top, we cannot be like this. Our airport looks like a joke. We need to create, if we don't have an airport that entices people to come, where commerce is thriving, where things are going on, what do you expect to come? We must create that Nigeria. Security must be in place. I'm just praying for the right leadership to emerge, and I want to be sitting where I can whisper into leadership's ear and tell them the little bit of things I know about leadership. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. You have repeated and reiterated that the Army teaches and trains leadership. I'm sure you know that since 1966 up until 1979, the Army was in charge in Nigeria. And I would like to think that part of the mistakes that we made was made largely under military rule. Then in 1985, I'm coming. In 1985, they came back and they led us till 1999. And it was during that period that our currency was massively devalued, or the devaluation process started, and the whole bunch of importation started, and the economic downslide started, and so on and so forth. So maybe you can respond and answer me.
Yeah, I can respond. You see, and the quality of this, the military forces you have now has changed drastically, but in two ways. The old guys that were in governance knew very little about how the world was working and were not even trained to lead in governance. The present crop of guys have also lost something. That regimentation that makes soldiers soldiers. I ideally, you shouldn't allow soldiers to participate in where they are getting involved in distributing money, handling money by way of governance. Then because you do that, they lose the soldiering age. And so that has happened, and it has impacted the present generation of officers and men. So yeah, was the military involved in politics? Yes. Did they know what they were doing? No. Look, in those days, I stayed on every rank for 5 years. These guys could get promoted within that 5 years, they could get promoted 3 times. They were wearing general rank without going through the National Defense Course. And then they had money, they were just throwing around. They knew nothing about how the world works. Today, what do they do in National Defense College? They train you, you do so much economy package, so much tours of Nigeria, so much studies of governance, so much studies of how to use resources. That is what you do at the National Defense College level. Are the military good for politics? No, we make very bad politicians. We are impatient. We think that we can give orders and you can't give orders to civilians. You need to negotiate with them. We are impatient. We don't like to negotiate. There is no military general outside of Obasanjo that really succeeded. Maybe Buhari. Even Buhari, you can see his impatience with the processes. So the military gives you leadership, but a different kind of leadership. But can the military advise you? Yes. So that is what we intend to do. Okay. But again, when you are talking about somebody like me, that is a different kind of individual, I commanded men, I lead a church. I've been leading a church since 1996. Since 1996, I've been pastoring in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. And if you think Christians are easy to lead, then you have another thing coming. They're as difficult as you can find. You are pastoring, they are following you, they are castigating you, they are telling you what to do, and they've never pastored. So I have handled the various levels of Nigerians, and I can tell you that I've learned lessons. I'm not saying I know all, but I know some things, and I know what can be done in a modern world to move a nation forward. I want to be where I can be whispering to somebody's ear, do this, do this, do that. The military does not make, the military officers do not make very good governance, rulers, governors. They do not do well there because first, they are impatient. They want to run things the way they run the barracks. It doesn't work like that in governance. It's trade-offs. You trade off, you negotiate, you build consensus. They don't like doing that. So yes, we have military people, but you had the background tempering what they were supposed to do. But today's military is more educated, more learned, more exposed.
Thank you very much. I'll leave you at that. And I'm sure that between myself and some guys here and there that we know, I will get you people into whose ears you can whisper. I want my brother Anthony to ask a question. Anthony? Yeah, Anthony sounds very military too. I'm sure he was a major in some army at some stage. Anthony, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. So you talk about leadership. I respect what you're saying, General Pat. But the problem I see here in terms of how this is going is that people are who they are. You know, people are who they are. If you take, for example, the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, was a comedian. And he had no formal training of any sort in terms of leadership. But today, without a doubt, he's the president of the free world. I mean, taking on Russia, you know, a very powerful nation, a superpower. In many ways, the Russians have very advanced science more than the United States. And he's able to take them on next door, not even like a distance, next door. So it's about people are who they are. He's exactly the opposite of President Buhari. You know, if you look at what's going on in terms of Nigeria's power, this guy is galvanizing his people in the face of sudden death across just about the largest country in Western Europe. In our case, you know, where's leadership? I mean, where's the president? I mean, people are getting killed all over the place. And I mean, Come on. I mean, what's going on? I mean, Nigeria is in a very deep situation. Let me just use that, put it mildly. So my question to you is this. We seem to be avoiding the elephant in the room, and I understand why. It's just the way our system is. President Buhari in the area of security, in the area of ethnic cohesion, is a big problem to Nigeria. It's not about it. This is a fact.
My internet that is freezing or is
so the question that I have for you is this. How do you think between now and May 29, 2023, Nigeria should just try to survive this situation where it's like we don't enter one chance? So how do we survive from now to May 29, 2023, given the reality that we have on ground, that we have a president that is above his level in terms of security and ethnic cohesion, and Nigeria being where we're supposed to be?
All right, go ahead, Pat. I think.
Okay, sir. He started by mentioning Zelensky. There is something we call the phenomenon of randomness, an outlier. When something happens like that, you do not use it. You need a higher sample to be able to validate it and say, this is now the reality. Leaders emerge, and sometimes they emerge in crisis. And the people that you think are not leaders suddenly become very credible, wonderful leaders doing things that are beyond description. And that is what has happened with Zelensky. Do we take a comedian tomorrow, maybe a cappella or Macroni, and make them leaders because we saw Zelensky? No, you'll be entering one chance. So what am I saying? You are using randomness, an outlier situation, to situate and recommend it as a panacea to the various problems that we're having. The reality is that leadership must be prepared. If you are waiting for an accidental leader like Zelensky, who is spawned on by the notion of patriotism and doing wonderful things, you may just not get it. So the idea is that you prepare leaders. We have not actually avoided the elephant in the room in a strict sense. When I started, I gave the criteria, the qualities that leaders should have. I said they must understand cultural intelligence or cultural sensitivity, that they must know that Nigeria is a multi-ethnic nation, and that you must build a structure that recognizes all these multi-ethnic, all the various ethnic groups, and that there were brilliant ones from all over Nigeria. You must have them sitting at the table. Otherwise, people will lose sense in the government. They will say, we are not a part of that. They want to see someone that looks like them. If America, as advanced as it is projecting that we must have diversity. They even have offices of diversity. Then Nigeria even needs it more. So yes, I agree that maybe the present person there has not recognized that much. He comes from a different world. He does not understand what the present world is doing by way of cultural diversity and cultural sensitivity and cultural intelligence. So I'll cut him some slack. I'll say perhaps he doesn't understand it, but we're not expecting the next guy to be like that. The next guy should have Nigeria were represented in the government. And it should not be quota system. It should be merit-based. It should be based on merit. So basically, that is my response to that.
Thank you very, very much. Somebody on the platform is asking that I take you back to this question of PDP and APC, which have the structures to win an election as at today. And your response on the third force, is it possible for a third force party, for a candidate to emerge in the elections? So it's asked that I ask you to address that question specifically and to answer it. And what do you think?
I'm saying it is too late to build those structures now that will make you win an election at the national level. You know why? Because these other parties have structures down to the lowest level. We can understand ourselves. The youth can understand us. But how about the old women in the villages that tip the balance, that finally tip the balance by way of voting? So my prescription is not to run away from those parties, is to enter in, quietly hijack them, and then if you like, when you are governing, you can change their names, you can rebrand them, but to start now, look, the timetable for next election has come out. INEC has released the timetable. Primaries are between now and June. Parties are supposed to submit their candidates by June. Where are you going to start that process that will merge with a new party and new candidates? The ones that are forming parties now are breaking away from existing parties. The NNPP that they are coming up with is breaking up from existing parties, and we can't even see how far they can go. Do they have offices in all the states? Are they established? For me, creating new parties and new platforms for now is too late. I'm a military man. When you give us an assignment, we conduct what we call the estimate process. It used to be called the appreciation, but now we call it the estimate process. You look at the objective. What am I going to capture? What are the resources I have? What are the enemy's resources? How does he fight? What are the logistics I have? Human, otherwise. What are the obstacles? Which courses of action should I take? Which routes should I approach the enemy? If I were to do a quick estimate process, I can tell you we stand better chance of entering, infiltrating existing parties for now than to go to reinvent the way and create new platforms. We'll be too late to not be able to even get candidates to fit in all the offices.
All right, thank you. I think that Sade answers your question, or even already registered parties. A lot of them, I think, is saying do not have enough infrastructure, even as they are. They're small parties all over the place.
Not spread.
They are not spread. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the people. And to some extent, they don't even have the resource.
They are not on the ground. If you are not on the ground, you are not on the ground.
They're not, so it's going to be a slow start. Maybe.
Let's infiltrate the parties. See, you are saying the parties are dirty because you allow dirty men to control them. Infiltrate the parties. You may not make an enduring impact in this cycle of election, but in the next you will, because and that thing that I discussed and I said Pastor Atua can do. We can sponsor our own candidates inside those parties. It's resources. If we start a GoFundMe and make it clear, young Nigerians understand it, they will start contributing to it. You can never tell what 10 naira, 50 naira, 100 naira, 1,000 naira coming in continually can result to.
Okay, so I'm going to be asking Olu and maybe Sonny to please liaise with you and see how we can start this GoFundMe and what we need to do to make it happen. I think my co-host, Sonny, has a question for you. He's been raising his hands. So we'll take that question and then begin to take your final comments on this platform. Sonny?
Okay, thank you, Pastor. Good evening, General. And really want to appreciate the way you have spoken. I mean, I like the passion coming across, and all the things you have said. They look very easy and practical. Why we are not doing it, I don't know. On this platform, we try to interrogate and look at the best option, the best line that we can take to make a positive change in Nigeria. And I think we have shared a lot of ideas. However, still going to this idea of infiltrating the party, we have talked about this idea before. I want to assume that you are talking about this not for the 2023 cycle, because for the 2023 cycle, the parties will not register new members anymore. And even if they register you now, you can't sponsor a candidate. And even if you want to be part of it, you can't really take part. So maybe we'll be looking at that for the next cycle, except there's something you know that I don't know, or that maybe we really don't know on the platform. If that being the case, for 2023, what realistic impact can we make in deciding the kind of candidates we want? Step-by-step process that you can recommend? You have said we can start a GoFundMe, which we will. We'll be talking with you and see how we can work on that. How do we identify the people we need for Senate, for governors, for House of Rep, maybe for presidency, because they all need to work together as a unit. Because there's no need putting one righteous man amidst thieves. You know, so the issue is how do you think we can go about it and really come up with something practical, workable, that we can begin to do between now and the end of this year?
Okay, thank you so much, Sonny. I just feel that for us to throw our hands in the air and say this cycle 2 is gone, then we'll be repeating it in the next scheme of things, in the next dispensation. After the coming one, we'll keep repeating it. Look, we quickly say that the people that we want may not have the money, but they are in the parties. So why not encourage them to pick the phones? Why not encourage them, because we mobilize money, and the money that comes from a GoFundMe may not be enough, but we know also people that we can liaise with, identify, that have the same ideas with us, that have the kind of money to sponsor the people that we want. Anybody can pick up a presidential candidate form. Why can't we start with that? Look at the people that we feel can do the job, and then throw our weight behind them. Since it is a money game. If you have so much money now and you are deciding that you will distribute around to Senate, to House of Reps, to all, you may not make the desired impact. You need to identify what you really want. Which office do you want to capture that makes a huge impact? That is the one that you should throw your weight behind. For now, it is too late for you to start. Even if you get this kind of money, to make an impact, you need to channel it through that central candidate that you think, if we're able to get in office, will make a huge impact. Distributing money to House of Reps, House of Representatives, House of Assembly, Senate, and all that, you may not have that kind of post that makes a huge impact. So to me, you must concentrate on a candidate that you feel you can sponsor for the big prize. In fact, if the big prize is right, how can I put this in a way that we will understand? If the president of Nigeria wakes up and sacks one super permanent secretary because files were delayed in that office, do you know the impact that will make? Every permanent secretary that wants to still be in office will start pushing their people. It takes just a leader, just one leader. That's all that takes. If I call the Inspector General of Police, I'm the president, and I say, if the killings in so-so state do not stop in 24 hours, somebody will replace you. You will see them running hater-skater to make sure it is done. It takes a leader. When I was in service, if I gave an officer a job and he was wasting time, I called him and said, I'm getting somebody else to take that job from you. They knew the implications. They knew that they needed to deliver results. We need one critical office where the person calls the shots, where the person is strong enough to make the difference. That's what we need. That's what we should aim for. And it's not late.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to the platform today and for all the great contributions you have made. It's been a very brilliant session. Thank you, Major General. We'd like our members to please talk a lot more about this platform and what's going on there. Spread the news. Let's get more people on the platform so that they can all learn. And we're going to be conscripting Major General Pat Akem-Vingir on the platform to work with us and to be part of what we're doing. Okay, I'm sure that he cannot refuse me. Our bank account is also available on our website. Those who want to contribute and fund and be part of what we're doing, please go to the bank account and try and contribute. And then we'll also work with Major General to do the GoFundMe that he mentioned and other things, and also help us to look at some of our strategy and how to be useful in this present dispensation come 2023 and even beyond. We're going to be 2 years old in another couple of months, end of May, early June. And we'll be rolling out all our plans, that what we intend to do, some of which I had shared before on this platform. And then the people who have volunteered to belong to certain groups, you'll be hearing from us very soon as to what next to do. And we believe you'll be having your group meetings and planning our strategy and seeing how we can contribute and add value to what is going on in Nigeria. Major General Pat Akem-Vingir, thank you so much for being here today. We're really very grateful, and a lot of people have benefited from your depth, from your candidness, from your candidness and your sincerity, especially when we ventured into the area of the military, and that the military were not quite prepared when they came into leadership for the kind of leadership they found themselves in. And even till today, we're still feeling the effect of the military thinking in our leadership. Few times our president has said, when I was military head of state, what I first of all do is to collect them and jail them. When I finish jailing them, then they can start telling me that they are innocent. But I don't, for this one, that people are presumed innocent until found guilty, it's just tying my hands and wasting my time. And he made a remark, something similar to that the other day.
He said it.
Yeah, he said it. I first of all jailed them, but I start finding out if they're guilty. And that, and then he was at the time was a little bit exasperated that all this political process is wasting his time and slowing him down, and so on and so forth. But well, this is what it is. We're in politics right now, and we have to know how to do it. Major General, any final comments, any thoughts, any suggestions? What do you want to tell us on the platform? What do you think we should do? What do you want to tell Nigerians out there? How do we ensure that come 2023, we don't drop the ball and we have the kind of leadership that we really need in Nigeria? Thank you.
Our advice that we remain engaged. What they want to do is to carry us, to take us to a level where we become so disenchanted and so defeated that we leave them to just keep doing what they've been doing. If we do not remain engaged, if we do not participate, if we keep saying it's a dirty man's game, if we keep saying it is meant for a certain class of people, then we give them the turf to play and to score the goals they want to score against us. So we must remain engaged. And going forward, beginning from today, let everybody remain engaged. And the little contribution you made, the little information you pass, the little idea you contribute will aggregate to us attaining at least some of the objectives for which this platform has been set up. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. God bless you. God strengthen you. My love to Madam. I don't think I've seen her in a long time, and the children, they must be very grown by now.
Yes,
and
sir.
Of course, the people of God in your care at the church. I do hope that when next I'm in Abuja, I'll have the privilege to stop by the church and see how things are. And maybe
That would be wonderful, sir.
A cup of coffee together or something. And you can teach me how to shoot a gun.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for staying the faith. Please let people know about this platform. Let's get more people engaged. Let's get much more information on the thing, and let's begin to see what we're going to do to transform our nation. I love you all. Thank you very much for being part of this. I say colloquium. We had a colloquium earlier today, was quite good, and I'm sure some of you were there online. Those who were not there physically. God bless you. God bless you, and God bless you, and God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Fulayo. Thank you, Bayo Badego. Frankie Balogun, thank you so much. Francis Odubeku, my childhood friend. Sheks, thank you so much. Irene Bassi, thank you so much. Samuel Dada, thank you so much. Baba Gana Mohammed, thank you so much for being on the platform. God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you.
Dr. Shade, I'm reading the comments. That's why I'm still here. You are muted, yeah.
General, I believe you have adequately answered that comment, but that was for you personally as you work with us behind the scenes.
Yeah, we will.
So thank you so much for this exhaustive session. I will be definitely reviewing on the YouTube channel, which will be posted, and we will send you a quick thumbnail message that you can forward to the rest of your your own constitution online, since especially you are a very tech savvy general and operator. I am quite interested in working with you with regards to the technical side. So it's great to mobilize electronically and to think ahead. And I trust that as a nation in this new dispensation, we will be moving forward using technology, using social media, and use it to catch up on lost years on development.
I think that's it. That's the way to go.
We're grateful. Okay, I see our faithful last few participants.
I'm reading the comment.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll wait to see the mail you send. Have a wonderful evening.
Yes, thank you very much, General Pat. We know a few
Hmm.
people have asked to be unmuted, but I do believe that the session has been closed officially.
I think I'm
Oh,
unmuted.
they wanted to talk again.
Sir?
They want to talk some more.
I think so. Pastor Itwa
Maybe Pastor
usually
Itwa should
allows
have
a
made
lot
it 3
of
hours.
yeah, he usually allows a lot of chit-chatting when the session is closed. So maybe a few people could do that or engage still with the general part, even if it has stopped recording.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello, it has not stopped recording. You can do as well, madam, because we are part of the co-host. Go to the three dots, then you go to the meeting. You see the stop.